All right, then. With that said, it is time for our Monday Night Raw review. And Ashton, we open this baby up, as we talked about, with a steel cage match.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that they're trying to do this whole season opener thing and really take it seriously. You know, I know that they have said, oh, it's a season premiere before on Raw, but have they ever jammed it down your throat as much as they did tonight?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, again, I've known in the past where they say, "Welcome to the season premiere of Monday Night Raw." Here it was so bad and so obnoxious that it was actually worked into promos. What? Man, WWE.
Randy Orton beats up Chris Jericho. Hey, Chris, it's the season premiere. Seriously?
Yeah, you couldn't say, you couldn't even steal a line from one of your coworkers and be like, "Sorry, Chris, is the Viper, that's what I do," or something like that. You really just had to go with, "Hey, Chris, it's a season premiere. It's a thing."
Yeah.
Like, what the heck, man?
I don't know.
It's crazy.
All right.
But you and I pretty much, I mean, we did talk about this match in certain spots, and I don't know if there's really much more you want to say about this match, or if you just want to bypass this segment and move on to the next one, because again, I thought it was a great effort. I like how physical Bray got with the cage at times. Like, he did one spot where Chris was against the cage wall, and Bray just brought all of his body weight against Jericho while he was leaning against the wall to produce more pain in the cage. I thought that was pretty cool. Very physical matchup. Chris Jericho did a Hurricane Run at one point. That always looks nice on a guy Bray Wyatt's size. And so, yeah, just a great back and forth effort. So I really have nothing else to say beyond that.
Yeah, the match itself was really good. Like I said, I don't want to try and take anything away from the quality of this match. My only problem with it was that it was this kind of match in the first place and the way that it finished. I think that's the only real problem that I had, was the way that it ended, was that the whole ending sequence was Bray Wyatt physically preventing Chris Jericho from exiting the cage and then taking a cheap shot at Jericho's injured knee, which he injured because of a top of the cage dive onto Bray, which looked really, really botchy and ugly and painful. And I think Jericho even busted himself open right underneath his bottom lip. And yeah, Bray was kind of taking advantage of the injured leg, which I do believe that the leg was kayfabe, but on that same note, I'm pretty sure that the blood running down his chin wasn't. So yeah, Bray physically prevents Jericho from exiting the cage and just kind of rolls out on his own.
Yeah, again, a solid effort between these guys. Interested to see where Bray goes from here now that Jericho is out of the picture, and we already alluded to the fact that Orton would assault Jericho later in the night, so you know he's off TV. And even that, though, like, you had to let Orton get his shots in on Chris, which that just seemed out of nowhere to begin with. But then, in my opinion, and this is one nitpick that I did have, it almost took away the fact that it was Bray that had the honors of sending Chris Jericho off. Now you could really say it was Randy Orton, because it could be implied that if Orton didn't do his beatdown, Jericho would have been just fine.
I don't know. I just don't like that they're kind of trying to remove Bray Wyatt's credibility. I just don't understand the whole point of it. Like, the dude is 27 years old, and you're treating him like somehow or another, because he's young, he doesn't deserve to be pushed to the moon this early in his career. I hate that. Like, why didn't you have that same theory about Randy Orton when he was...
Dude, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, and at the same time, it's a double whammy, because WWE proves itself to be a promotion and a product of nepotism.
Yeah.
Because, Orton got that trade because third generation. They even boast about it. And Bray, what's ironic is he does have that same lineage, but that's not ascribed to his character. That's distinct, that's independent from it. But at the same time, it's like, what? So the Ortons get favorability over the Rotundas. It's absolutely absurd. Again, it's because of Bray's youth and his character and everything going on that I do think he'll make it. But then again, if I was being completely honest with myself, I've offered similar commentary before on a guy named Drew McIntyre, and look where he ended up. So there you go.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, but he's only this old. He has so much of his career left. as an excuse can only really last so long before you realize, oh wait, he's 33 now, he's entering his prime, and he looks like a joke.
And not only just the youth thing, Ashton, because here's the thing I've come to learn. Youth, I mean, of course it'll always have something to do with it, but the length of a career is solely what WWE decides how long they want it to be. They don't care if it's 27, 33, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
WWE is your clock, first
Mm-hmm.
and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And crossing my fingers, so there you go.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. All right. Hey, do you have anything else left to say about this match, or do you want to move on?
We can move on, dude.
Okay. We talked about the post-match beatdown, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
All right. Then we get a backstage segment. Kane, Seth Rollins, and Triple H. Triple H congratulates Kane on getting us off to a good start tonight and says this is the season premiere, so we've got to put something out there that no one's going to forget. And then Randy Orton walks in and he says something about how he would like Triple H's permission to do something to Roman Reigns that will make what Seth Rollins did to Dean Ambrose look like Sunday school. And he even takes like little pot shots, like, I forget what it was, the corporate something. I don't remember exactly what he said about Kane.
He called Kane either the corporate suit or suck up, and I know he called
Seth
Rollins
the corporate sellout. I knew about that, yeah. Yeah, so Randy Orton kind of taking little jabs at his authority mates and kind of sucking up to Triple H in that same notion.
Yeah, he was able to do it all in one foul swoop. So he gets Triple H's sign off on being able to do whatever he has in mind to Roman Reigns that'll make what Seth Rollins did to Dean Ambrose seem like Sunday school. And at that moment, you could hear all the pens clicking for all the people writing fan fiction because their minds just ran wild at that notion. So with that said, it was a good segment between these guys. Led to some interesting theories from some friends of mine that did not pan out, but still a good segment nonetheless.
Yeah, it was a solid segment. Up next, we had Dolph Ziggler in the ring, and this, John was just like, Ashton, Dolph Ziggler's cut a promo, and I was like, okay, fine, I'll tune in, but this was during the football game, so I was kind of annoyed by it. But yeah, I tuned in, and I got to admit, I did not regret changing the channel to get to this, because this was ridiculous and hilarious, and just Dolph Ziggler amazingness.
What I like about it is that WWE, how can I put this? It seemed like they almost ventured out of their comfort zone because this has been a very controversial issue. The celebrity photos being hacked into and stolen from, the Apple iCloud, from what I understand. And so it seemed like WWE took a risk by addressing a situation of this kind of severity in nature and putting a comedic tone on it. But that's exactly why I like it, because, it seemed like they took a risk, and they took a risk to be culturally relevant. And that's another thing I really liked about this. This was relevant, and they did it in a way that wasn't hokey or embarrassing. They put the right guys in charge to kind of drive this thing. And it works so perfectly with Miz's gimmick. Because, yeah, Ziggler says, I know with the photo leaks, and I'm not commending it or anything, but I just wanted to share with you all something that I came upon. And he showed Miz's photos, one with like this facial cream on his face, wearing some kind of a face mask, and the other of him shaving his chest before Miz and his stunt double, Damian Mizdow, come out. And that's when the hilarity really ensues, Ashton.
Yeah, this, to me, I just want to take a moment to really praise the WWE for once, because I have a huge problem with certain news outlets and the way that they've handled the fappening, this whole gigantic celebrity leak scandal. Let me just point out, there are a lot of news outlets, including one very popular quasi-news channel on YouTube, that outright came right out and said, if you look at these pictures, you are basically gross. You are a pervert. You are basically just a bad person. And these are the same people who, so many years ago, when Anthony Weiner's penis pictures got posted, were joking about it and acting like, oh, this is hilarious. The guy's last name is Weiner and his wiener's on the internet. And like, I want to say it was Huffington Post, put a Rate Wiener's Wiener pull up on their freaking website. And now they're putting out articles talking about how immoral it is for these leaks to be around and for people to look at them and to download and look at them and that kind of stuff. The hypocrisy that the media has shown in this scandal is really telling to me. And I absolutely adore that the WWE joked about it. I love it. It's like, for some reason, all of a sudden, and I think it's because it's Jennifer Lawrence, because Jennifer Lawrence is like America's sweetheart and like everyone wants to imagine that she's this sweet, innocent little girl who never does anything wrong, and she's like this image of purity and all this crap. But at the end of the day, she's just another person. And she's not going to be, she wasn't the first female to take naked pictures of herself and try and send them to her significant other. And she won't be the last, but the fact that she is this big celebrity and she's in the Hunger Games and all this big deal, and she got caught both literally and figuratively with her pants down. People want to make a big stink about it and how it's immoral for these pictures to be circulating and how people should basically just act like they never existed and burn them up. And it's just ridiculous. And then the WWE comes along and it's just like, ha! Celebrity nudes got leaked. We're going to use it. I love it. I freaking love it.
You know, it's a sensitive situation because I do feel bad for the people involved. There's no question about that. But here's the thing. It happened. And because it happened, and I'd say that even if it was people like you or I in this situation, when things get out there, if you're not expecting any kind of commentary on it, any kind of reaction to it, you're kidding yourself. That doesn't make the reactions necessarily right or wrong or whatever, but they are going to exist, and that's
Right.
the point I'm trying to make.
Yeah.
And really, when WWE took this action, it reminded me of one of my favorite lines in South Park. I don't know if it was Kyle who said it when it was going on, I learned something today, or if it was Stan, because one of them always gives the monologues between the two of them. And they said, either all of it's okay or none of it's okay in terms of like what's okay to joke about, what's okay to talk about, all that stuff. And this is WWE saying, you know what, this is okay to talk about. This is okay to parody and put our own little spin on. It's fine. And I'm glad they did. Because I felt like if they felt the need to shy away from it when it worked so perfectly given Mrs. Angle and who Dolph Ziggler is and the kind of personality he is, it's like this segment was meant to be. And you could see why, because I felt like it was very effective, very successful, and we had a good laugh over it. And even Ziggler, and I have to commend him here, because Raw is live and you only get one chance to really say everything. He was very careful in his wording, not to endorse the scandal that happened, not to make light of it in that respect. And I felt like he chose his words perfectly. And then the interaction between him and Miz I thought was very successful. Miz coming out being all indignant. This is an invasion of my privacy. And Damien Sandow's faces throughout were just gold. And then, they look like they're about to get in the ring. Ziggler's, inviting him in. But then, I think Damien Mizdow tried to get the jump on him, but Ziggler responded with a drop kick to the face. And then, again, taunting Miz to come in the ring. And then I thought that the heels would get the jump on the babyfaces, but you said it perfectly, Ashton. Dolph Ziggler proved himself to be a smart babyface because he neutralized Mizdow with the zigzag, and he pretty much came out on top in this segment.
Exactly. This whole segment was corny and goofy, but the personalities involved and the social commentary that it provided made it work. And it made it work really well, actually.
Absolutely. I want WWE to do more segments like this. Because I feel like WWE, whether it's in characters, and the best example I can give of that is John Cena, or in segments, when they try and stay culturally relevant, but with intelligent writing, and like you said, not being corny, not being this or that, I feel like that's when they really make money, and that's when they really make segments of brilliance, or just really entertaining television in general. And that was the case with this segment. So big ups to all three guys, and just how they handled it all around. This was great.
Absolutely. Major props to all three players in this. And here's the thing, I wasn't really thinking about the social implications of this segment when I was watching it. And all I could say while I was watching it was Damian Sandow was the MVP of this segment. So even in hindsight, having realized how much thought had to have gone into this and the fact that they were willing to kind of go there, Damian Sandow was absolutely hilarious in this. Even if he wasn't actually the MVP, which I was claiming he was up and down last night when I was actually watching this, he was hilarious in this because every single hand motion the Miz would do, Sandow would mimic it. And it was like, you couldn't tell if he was genuinely trying to go for the whole imitation is the sincerest form of flattery thing, or if he was just straight up mocking the Miz and trying to be like, oh, this guy's a douchebag and I'm going to show you why.
I'm 2 points I want to make very quickly because I really don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But I'm very curious what the end game of Sandow actually sticking with this gimmick is going to be. If he's going to turn face and maybe do a feud with The Miz, maybe even over the Intercontinental Championship, depending on how Night of Champions shakes out. But the second thing, Sandow's really proven to me with this Damian Mizdown gimmick, with being the stun double. I think he has, and this will be a praise to both guys, that Cody Rhodes quality that you can give him anything and he'll put his back into it to make it work.
Yep.
Because just that little nuance, Ashton, of him mimicking all of Miz's hand gestures is just such a subtle touch, but it goes such a long way. And the proof of that is the fact that you just talked about it. The fact that you just brought it up. So Sandow really is that kind of character. He's another one, much like Bray when we discussed him earlier. I really see big things, and I hope WWE does as well. And yet the odd thing is, believe it or not, and I wouldn't have said this a few months ago, but I'm almost thinking that Damian Sandow may come out of this better than how Bray is going to come out of his situation. I don't know. Just a gut feeling I have.
Yeah, I don't know, dude. What do you think is going to come out of this, though?
I personally, and it would be the less out there predictions that I've made over our time together, I do think Sandow's going to turn face and have a feud with The Miz. I just see it going there. I see him getting sick of Miz's crap, and I think it's going to be that kind of narrative. Well, look at that. The stunt double is better than the original, and they're going to play off of all that. And Sandow, I don't know what his gimmick will be going forward after that, though, when he is a babyface, because he can't exactly revert back to being an intellectual unless he's an intellectual who belittles heels. I mean, maybe that could work, but I just don't. I could see him turning face. Where I'm worried is how does that face turn take shape? What form does it take, so to speak? But yeah, I do see Damian Sandow turning face, maybe even before the end of this year. So.
Yeah, I love that they're setting this up. They're basically going the Alex Riley route with Sandow.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of what it comes down to. They're turning Damian Sandow into a significantly more talented and likable version of Alex Riley, who never should have been babyface in the first place. And even though I just said that Sandow's more talented, it's no knock on Riley because Riley is an excellent heel when he puts his mind to it.
Absolutely.
Just from a babyface standpoint, Riley was never going to work because he's too good at talking trash. He's not that kind of babyface. So